right. Okay, folks, I think we're almost ready to get started. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I just have a few comments on emergency preparedness from Shirley Coit, as is our tradition. Shirley?
Yes, I believe so, and here I am writing on that. Oh, well.
All righty, all set?
Can we pass me the bag?
Yep.
I don't really want to bend over and fall over. Thank you.
You got it?
I'm going to borrow you.
I would say yes. I don't think they put
Yep.
up
Good evening. Is this on?
Can everyone hear Shirley? Is the microphone on?
Good evening. Now it's on. Tonight's chapter in emergency management is dealing with your paperwork in your go bag. Hopefully,
Excuse me, folks. Could we have your attention, please?
hopefully you have your go bags organized and put together. This is a sheet that I left out front. Hopefully everybody picked one up. These are things, paperwork, that you should have in your go bag, copies of items, not the original items, but copies, so that if you're out in the wild woods or whatever, because you can't get back to your house, this should give you enough to survive with insurance and credit cards and all that sort of stuff. I added on the bottom to put your COVID vaccine report in, too. That may prove to be more valuable than we want it to be, but that's... If you have any questions on any of these things, please ask me about them. A lot of things you can get at the town clerk's office. And I think that's about it. I have one other thing that I need to bring up. Don't forget this. Don't forget this. I didn't mention it the last time, and I got berated for it, so toilet paper is an essential. Be sure you have one with you, or two. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Pass that to you? Yeah, I'll pass that. Okay, is Mr. Rahala here? He is, okay. We do have a quorum, and I'm not going to appoint counters yet. Hopefully we won't have to do any counting, but if we do, I'll call some volunteers up for doing that. Let's see, can everybody hear me? Okay. Hartley, you all set, or at home? Okay, Steve? Okay. All right, I think we'll start with, there is a quorum, right, Madam Clerk? Where's my gavel? Look at the little gavel. All right, there being a quorum present, I call this special and annual town meeting to order. And we'll start off the meeting with the Scouts from Troop 10 Townsend. They're going to lead us in the pledge. Would you all please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you, Scouts. Let's have a hand of applause for Scouts. Sorry, I'm negligent and failed to get their names earlier, but we'll get them and let you know. All right, so first few preliminary things. All visitors, we need to have seated up front, okay? Or on the sides here, because it's going to be impossible to tell who is a voter and who isn't. So if you folks are visitors, please come up and either sit in the side or in the front rows. If folks are in the second row and we need some, I'd ask that you maybe take a seat back. Then you might not need to move in. Okay. Any visitors up in the balcony? Okay. All right. Next, I'd like to ask for a motion to appoint Jean Rahala as the deputy moderator. Okay. Second. All right. Anything to be said? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Jean. Let's see. I think we probably ought to go for the return of the warrant at this point. Madam Clerk, do we have... Whoops. Scouts, does one of the Scouts have a microphone?
Pursuant to the within warrant, I have notified and warned the inhabitants of the town of Townsend by posting up attested copies of the same at Memorial Hall, 272 Main Street at the center, West Townsend Reading Room, 264 Dudley Road in West Townsend, Police Station, 70 Brookline Road, Harbor Fire Station, 41 Main Street, and Harbor Church, 80 Main Street, at least 7 days before the date of the meeting, as within directed. Michelle Dold, Constable of Townsend.
Okay. And that was the annual?
That was the annual.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. A few more preliminary things. I should fail to... I neglected to introduce everybody up here so that you folks know who we are. I'm John Barrett, the moderator. To my left is Kathleen Spofford, the town clerk. On my right is Veronica Kell, Board of Selectmen, Chair. No, not Chair? Chair, right? Chair. Chaz Duranian Sexton?
Close.
Sexton Duranian, sorry, Chaz. Teresa Morse, Town Council, Adam Costa, and Town Administrator Ross Perry. Down seated to my right is the Finance Committee, and we have, I'm sorry, I should know your name, but Dawn. Oh, okay. Oh, all right, Terry. Okay, Terry, then it's Don Hayes, Geraldine Bazikas, Andrea Wood, and our town treasurer? Okay, all right. Thanks. All right. All right, few other things. As you know, our proceedings today are governed by town meeting time. And to review a few of the rules, please be recognized before you speak. Raise your hand, and I will try to recognize everyone that wants to speak. Once you're recognized, please state your name and your address, and then wait for the microphone to be brought to you so we can hear you and people at home can hear you. Please direct all your comments to me, the chair. If you have a motion, it must be in writing and will need to be brought up to the town clerk. If a matter is finally voted tonight, it can be reconsidered tonight with a majority vote if the motion is made tonight. If we go into a second meeting night, then the article would need to be approved by a 9/10 vote to reconsider an article. And do the selectmen have a plan if we do have to go into another night for a second night? Tomorrow night? Okay, so that's likely we would resume if we have to go to a second night tomorrow night. If a vote is questioned by 7 people, then we will call the counters forward, or if I'm in doubt, we may call the counters forward. And if you wish to raise a point of privilege, please stand and state your point of privilege. That's in events where you can't hear someone speaking or there's some physical problem that you need to bring to our attention. If you have a point of order, please state point of order and wait to be recognized and then state your point of order. One article or motion that sometimes causes some confusion is a motion to move the question. This is a motion to cut off debate. If the motion is made when we have still a lot of debate and we're not going over and over again, then I would rule it out of order. But if we are going over and over the same thing and it appears that the town has heard enough, I would certainly entertain a motion to move the question, and that would, if it's approved by a 2/3 vote, cut off debate. And it's not appealable. Okay, ask everyone to be courteous and keep applause to a minimum. We'd want to get through this tonight, hopefully, with one night. We got the visitors. Again, visitors all, if you could, sit up front. It looks like you are. Thank you. Let's see. I think we can now adjourn. I need a motion to adjourn. This is, again, a little bit confusing. We do a special town meeting within the annual town meeting. So we have convened the annual town meeting, but I'm going to ask for a motion to recess or adjourn the town meeting till after the special town meeting. Is there a motion? Okay. Motion's made and seconded to adjourn the town meeting. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. All right, the ayes have it. The annual is adjourned until after the special. Now, Madam Clerk, do you have a warrant or return of the warrant for the special town meeting, please?
Pursuant to the within warrant, I have notified and warned the inhabitants of the town of Townsend by posting up attested copies of the same at Memorial Hall, 272 Main Street at the Center, West Townsend Reading Room, 264 Dudley Road in West Townsend, Police Station, 70 Brookline Road, Harbor Fire Station, 41 Main Street, and Harbor Church, 80 Main Street, at least 14 days before the date of the meeting as within directed. Michelle Dole, Constable.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. And therefore, did I do this already? Declare the special town meeting open. Article 1, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash or other available funds in the Treasury the sum of $2,826 or any other sum for the purpose of paying prior fiscal year bill for Unitil or take any action in relation thereto. Ms. Kell?
Article 1, I move the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $2,826 for the purpose of paying prior fiscal year bill for Unitil.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay, is there anything to be said? All right, fairly stock item, housekeeping. I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, I believe that was in the motion because sometimes that, yeah, I'm sorry. Right. What you're looking at is the article in the warrant, and so sometimes the numbers change. In this case, the number didn't change, so I don't believe it was in the motion, another sum. It was just, no. The motion was just $2,826. All right? Thank you. Yep. All right. Anything else? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, unanimous. Article 2. To see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash or other available funds in the Treasury the sum of $198,928 or any other sum for the purpose of offsetting the fiscal year 22 snow and ice deficits under the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 31D, or take any other action in relation thereto. Is there a motion?
Yes, I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $198,923 for the purpose of offsetting fiscal year 22 snow and ice deficits under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 31D.
Second. Okay. And was that number, Ms. Morse, 198,923?
198,928.
928. Okay, I'm hearing. All right. Motion's made and seconded. Any questions? All right. Doesn't appear to be any. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. It's unanimous. And Article 3, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash or other available funds in the Treasury the sum of $50,000 or any other sum to cover unanticipated expenses for MIS. Is there a motion?
I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $50,000 for the purpose of supplementing the fiscal year 22 MIS budget.
The motion's been made and seconded. Any questions? Yeah, ma'am, if you would please state your name and wait for the microphone.
Susan Shuford, 86 Maplewood Drive. What is MIS, please?
Question comes on the motion. MIS?
Is Management Information Services. That would be hardware, software in regards to computer systems, our server. It also would include video surveillance. It would include the electronic door locks and that kind of thing.
Okay. Comments come on the question. Any other questions? I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, say no. Okay. I think we'll have to try that again. I think it's a fairly routine article. There's no questions about this or statements why people are opposed, so I'm going to ask for another call of that vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. The ayes have it. All right. I think we're can take a motion to adjourn special town meeting, or actually dissolve it. Sorry, it should be dissolved. Right? Point of order, Mr. Rahala. Motion to dissolve. Yeah, you caught me. Motion to dissolve. Is there a second? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. All right. The special town meeting is dissolved, and we're back into the regular, or the annual town meeting. And if everyone's got their warrant, we'll go down the list. Article 1, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to appoint all town officers unless other provisions are made by Mass General Laws, by town charter, or by vote of the town, or take any other action in relation thereto. Ms. Kell.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to appoint all town officers unless other provisions are made by Massachusetts General Law, by town charter, or by vote of the town.
Okay, motion's made and seconded on Article 1. Anything to be said? Yes, sir. Mr. LeQuire?
James LeQuire, 171 Fitchburg Road, Townsend, Mass. I feel that this is inappropriate because the people that have already been on these boards, appointed or elected, have experience in what they're talking about, know who these people are they may interview. I don't think it's appropriate for the selectmen to take that into their own hands because where the board members know what's going on and they have the experience, I think it's more appropriate for the board members to recommend to the selectmen what they should do.
Okay, comment comes on the motion. Is there any reply or comment on that? Okay. Oh, all right.
Chris Nosella, 72 South Harbor Road. Who does this now?
Okay, question
Who
comes
makes
on.
the decision on this now?
Well-
You want to give it to the selectmen. Who does it now?
Well, I'm going to venture to say that this is not so that the selectmen have unfettered control over who is on boards. It is basically if there are vacancies in the boards and there's no mechanism for appointing. As the article points out, it's unless other provisions are made by Mass General laws, town charter, by vote of the town. So, and if the selectmen or town council have anything to, or the town administrator have anything to add on that, that's how I understand it works.
If I may.
Yeah.
I've been in town politics almost 10 years here, and I'm just curious because when I was on the planning board, we would bring people that we found important to help the board to the selectmen to appoint them. We didn't just wait for the selectmen to pick who they were, because we're the ones that have to work with them and know what needs to be done. The same with the Board of Health that I'm on now. We would prefer to pick our own people and bring them to the selectmen to be approved than have the selectmen just send us somebody.
Okay, comments come on the motion. Remember, this is the first article. Mr. Costa.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Adam Costa, Town Council. So just to some extent reiterate what the moderator had to say, the appointment of appointed offices in municipalities is largely governed by Massachusetts general laws. And of course, in communities like Townsend, where you also have a municipal charter, your charter is fairly comprehensive in terms of other positions that may not be captured by Massachusetts general laws. How those positions get appointed is generally covered within your town charter. And still further, you have the ability to dictate this by bylaw. So although I don't necessarily want to go board by board or committee by committee, I can tell you, for example, as a matter of policy, that Zoning Board of Appeals appointments as a matter of state law and incorporated in most charters are made by the Board of Selectmen as the appointing authority. And so that would not be captured or covered by this particular article. I think that the intent of an article like this, and I see it in many communities, is to capture those instances where there may be ad hoc committees or boards that are created. Maybe there's a committee created to celebrate a 300th anniversary of a community, and in that sort of an instance, there would be a membership of 3 or 5 members, and if there's no provision for that committee in state law, which there wouldn't be, there's no provision for that committee in your charter, which there likely wouldn't be, then there'd be no mechanism for appointment of the membership, and hence this article would fill that gap and provide that authority to the Board of Selectmen, which is typically the appointing authority in most municipalities. Hopefully that helps.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. Ma'am, on the edge there.
Ann LaQueer, 171 Fitchburg Road. I don't think it should be up to the selectmen to choose the members of the different boards. I believe it should be the boards who find people who are suitable and will be a good mix for the individual boards. I don't think it should be up to the selectmen. That's a lot of power that the people should have.
Mr. Rahala.
Mr. Moderator, you had it correctly described. Mr. Costa, your remarks were completely correct. I've moderated here for 16 years, and prior to that, I've attended town meetings since 1984. From time to time, this debate has been conducted, and once the floor understands it and attends regularly, the question doesn't come up again. But the remarks are absolutely correct. If there's no provision otherwise provided by law, by our charter, the selectmen are the authority to appoint those positions. plain and simple. They're not stepping on anyone else's prerogative or authority.
Comments come on the motion. Mr. Leclerc.
I have to do my address again?
Say
Do I
again?
have to do my address again?
No, I think we know who you are now.
Okay, thank you very much. Putting that into Selectmen's hands, what happens to the time when they actually decide to terminate people that have been appointed by the Selectmen and just let people go with no just cause?
Question comes on the motion. I'm not going to try to sort this one out because, sorry, I'm going to look for council's comments here, I guess.
Again, Adam Costa, Town Council, through you, Mr. Moderator, and I'll try to keep my comments brief because discussing the mechanisms for terminating or removing an appointed official from a position, even a volunteer, is sort of beyond the scope, I think, to some extent of the article that's before the body. With that said, I can say very briefly that removal is something that is governed by your town charter, and there's actually several provisions that discuss at great length the process for removal of an individual from a position. They're entitled to due process, notice, a hearing, etc., and these sorts of things occur with not with great frequency in most communities. I did find, and I referred to before, the fact that your town charter, for the most part, governs the appointment of most appointed bodies, and I found Section 3-2, subsection D of the town charter. I won't read it all because it goes on for nearly a half a page, identifying the various boards and commissions and committees that are already addressed in the charter as being appointed by the selectmen that would not be governed by this article, including everybody from the building commissioner to the ZBA to the Conservation Commission, personnel boards, board of registrars, police chief, crossing guards, fire chief, and again, it goes on for the better part of a half a page. So this is really an article that is meant to capture those unique circumstances, those unusual commissions or committees or boards that aren't governed by Mass General laws and were never contemplated in your charter, and to give the selectmen the authority to assist in comprising those boards of members that the selectmen would choose.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. All right, Ms. Jackson. Okay, motion's second. Motion's been made to move the question. It's been seconded. This motion, if approved by 2/3, will cut off debate. All those in favor of moving the question, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. The ayes have it by 2/3. Debate is cut off. So we can now vote on Article 1. Does anyone need the motion restated? Okay. All those in favor of the motion on Article 1, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to hear and accept reports of any committees, boards, commissions, etc., or take any other action in relation thereto. Is there a motion?
Yes, I move that the town vote to accept the reports of any committees, boards, commissions, etc., as written in the annual report.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Anything to be said? Sir?
Gordon Clark, Libra Lane. Thank you. First of all, it's great to see so many people out. It's been a long time since we're all been together, and I hope everyone's healthy and welcome. I apologize if the answer's in the book here. I just drove 3 hours to get here, but I was looking for reports of internal investigation. There's, by the charter, is supposed to be reported by the Board of Selectmen, and I didn't see it, so I may have missed it. Again, I apologize. I just got here. And the reason I have knowledge of this is a while ago, I was requested to go to Pembroke, Massachusetts, to the offices of Clifford and Kenny, where I spent 3 hours. And a report was issued, and they told me that it was very narrow, the investigation, that they were going to the selectmen to ask it to be expanded. So by the charter, there should be a report of that investigation. Also, if they have, I sent that, and then you could do a public records request if you like. I've sent a multitude of public requests from 3 or 4 other communities in that report to the Board of Selectmen.
Mr. Clark, I'm sorry, but, you know, you've got to keep your comments specific to hearing the reports. Do you want to hear a report? You know,
Okay, and I'm telling where people can find that report if they don't have it. I think that's reasonable.
what
sir.
report are you asking to hear?
I'm asking for the selectmen to give a report on it. I know I went there for 3 hours, and I was informed by the attorneys that I talked to that they were authorized by the Board of Selectmen to do a limited report. I have since, through public records request, got that report, and I sent it to the selectmen, to town council, and other department heads. So if someone did a public records request, they could see all those. That's all I'm asking by the charter. Do you have a report or not? Thank you very much, Mr. Bartlett.
Okay. Question comes on the motion. Is there any response? Okay. I don't know if... Mr. Costa?
Again, Adam Costa, Town Council, through you, Mr. Moderator. My only response is that the sole matter before town meeting is whether the town will accept the reports of the committees, boards, and commissions that might be included within the annual report. I'll confess I didn't read every last page of the annual report. It arrived here on my desk just before town meeting got underway. So if there's not a report of the investigation that was referenced in this booklet, if it's a public document, it would obviously be made available in response to a request, whether that be a public records request formally or informally. Not all reports are public records, depending upon whether they're the subject of pending litigation. I'm aware generally, I think, of the matter that is being referred to, or that was referred to by the previous speaker, but I'm not representing the town in connection with that particular matter.
Okay, thank you.
Nor did I complete the investigation, as was referenced. Clifford and Kenny, an outside firm, completed that investigation.
All right, thank you, Mr. Costa. Mr. Clark?
Thank you. Clark, to simplify it here, I'm not trying to keep this going. Per the charter, the selectmen, if they authorize investigation, are supposed to give a report. If they're not giving it, just say, we're not giving it. That's all I'm asking.
I think, Mr. Clark, that this article, as Town Council explained, is just to hear the reports that are in the town report.
So,
If you want to hear the report in the town report, we can vote on that.
no, that's not what I'm asking, sir.
Well,
I'm asking
that's the only question that you can make in this article.
All right. So I can't ask, per the charter, that a report's supposed to be reported to the people of the town.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you. Say that again?
So I'm not allowed to ask that, per the charter, a report's supposed to be presented to the taxpayers, and I'm not allowed to ask where it is.
No.
Okay.
Not in this, under this article.
Where would it be an appropriate place to ask where the...
I think Mr. Costas referred to the fact that you could make a public records request.
I already done that, sir, and I received it.
Mr. Clark, we're not going to be able to debate this about...
I'm not debating, I'm just asking if there's a report.
Well, I don't believe there is...
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I don't have an answer for you, so I don't know if anybody else does.
Well, the Board of Selectmen should, but they don't. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay.
And everyone else.
All right. Mr. Snaith? I think we can probably skip that, unless you don't want to skip it, because I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to choose a committee of 3 West Townsend residents to serve as members of the James H. Tucker Fund in accordance with the bequest for the sole purpose to keep the curbing, gravestones, and monuments in good order or take any other action in relation thereto. Is there a motion? Ms. Hayman? Oh, Pam, you're going to need a microphone. Can we get a microphone up front, please? Thanks. No, we got to let people at home hear.
Okay, thank you. I move that the town vote to choose a committee of 3 West Townsend Village residents, Kenneth Gherkin, Lisa Lawand, and Pamela Heyman, to serve as members of the James H. Tucker Fund in accordance with the bequest for the sole purpose of keeping the curbing, gravestones, and monuments in good order.
Okay, motion is made and seconded. Anything to be said? Hearing none, I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. It's unanimous. Article 4, To see if the town will vote pursuant to the provisions of General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, and in accordance with Chapter 104 of the town's general bylaws, to authorize the following fiscal year 2023 spending limits for the following revolving funds. And with your indulgence, I will omit reading them. If there is a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that town vote pursuant to the provisions of General Law, Chapter 44, subsection 53E and a half, in accordance with Chapter 104 of the town's general bylaws, to authorize the following fiscal year 2023 spending limits for the following revolving accounts: recycling, $20,000; recreation programs, $52,000; facilities maintenance, $4,000; cemetery, $28,000; fire alarm, $4,000; animal care program, $1,000; fire EMS, $5,000; police, $80,000; conservation, $20,000; and fire EMS, $10,000.
Is there a second? Second. A motion's been made and seconded. Anything to be said? The stock article, all right, seems we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Right. So, next is the budget, I believe, right? Yep. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate and transfer from available funds in the Treasury such sums that may be necessary to defray the charges and expenses of the town for fiscal year 2023 pursuant to the detailed budget totaling $25,234,009 or any other sum on line 764, or take any other action in relation thereto. And the article is as it appears in the warrant. Is there a motion?
Yes. Mr. Moderator, I move the town vote to raise and appropriate and transfer from available funds in the Treasury such sums that may be necessary to defray the charges and expenses of the town for fiscal year 2023 pursuant to a detailed budget totaling $24,868,661 per line 764 on the revised budget as shown in the handout at this meeting. That's this, that you should have gotten when you checked in. Transferring from Title V MWPAT for the purpose of MWPAT debt repayment, $16,755. The West Townsend Reading Room, operating the West Townsend Reading Room, $2,900. Ambulance receipts reserved to operate EMS, $500,000. From the Water Enterprise Fund, Water Department overhead, $271,000. Recreation revolving account for the Assistant Director, $10,000. Transfer from overlay for the general operating budget, $50,000. From free cash for the former town administrator separation, $158,000. And from free cash for the second lease payment on the police cruisers, $70,000. And do you want me to read the functional segments?
I don't think we generally read the functional sections. Our practice has been we will go through the functional segments in the budget, in the handout that hopefully everybody has. Does everybody have that handout? Looks like. What we will generally do is take up each section, each segment, and I'll entertain some time for you to look it over. And if there are questions about the first section, general government, we'll entertain that. If there are no questions or when we've resolved that section, we'll vote on that section and then proceed to the next segment. So, Ms. Kell.
So we need a second?
I thought, didn't we already have a second? No. Okay.
I'll second that.
All right.
Now we do.
Now we do.
Now we go through the details. All right. General government. Yeah, Ms. Lizio. Could you use the microphone, Sue?
It would be helpful, I think, if the list that was just read for that motion, for the different amounts coming from different places, is there a way that we could refer to the lines where those exist and what functional areas those exist in, please?
Okay, question comes on the motion. Is there some way we can
Other than that,
sort of match those up with the budget articles?
exactly, because otherwise, you know, when we're looking at, say, general government, we don't know where that particular line is in there to even question what the detail is on it.
Is it possible, at least just to get an idea of which
You
segment
have a
those
line
items-
item in each one of in the individual budget. I'm just asking, when we're doing general government, can you point to the line item number that's associated with the free cash?
Okay, comment
With
comes
the-
on the motion. Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
So with the free cash lines only, are those the ones you're talking about?
I would prefer that we go through the whole thing, because usually this budget is all raise and appropriate. We don't typically deal with taking line items out of the operating budget, and some are paid for by one means and some for another. It's usually just one article. So it's a little confusing. I just want to make sure that we know which things are being paid for by free cash.
For the ones that are directly, I can tell you that. So if you look at the two free cash and you go to the first page, I hope everybody has this that you've got when you signed in. So if you have that, for the free cash, the former TA separation, if you go to, give me a minute because I don't have these memorized. It's wages settlement, line 5. There's $131,451 there, along with the auto allowance of $6,000. And then there is also a vacation payout on that. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm reading it incorrectly. The wages settlement, look at the BOS budget, FY23, I was reading the change. If you look at line 5, it's $152,000, and the wages other auto allowance is $6,000. So the $158,000 from free cash is line 4 and line 5. Then the police cruisers, let me get to police. Which one is it? 272. New equipment, police new equipment. Last year, it was $65,000 for the lease that was budgeted. This year, it's $70,000. And that's where the two free cash settlements are. The rest of these are not exactly, they're more revenue. We are taking these for revenue to cover these expenses. So they aren't directly related to an item, but if you look at the recap sheet that was posted on the website this afternoon, along with this budget that we're looking at tonight, you should be able to see those on the recap, because they are revenue that we bring in, sources of revenue.
So effectively, the items listed here are other sources of funding for this budget other than raising and appropriating?
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
Yeah, in the back?
How you doing? Tom Donovan, North End Road, Townsend. Did all the money that was cut out of this budget come from the town, or did anything come from the school department?
Question comes on the motion. Yep, Ms. Kell.
We have been, since the override failed, the Board of Selectmen and the FinCom have been meeting, and we looked for where we could cut back And last night, the school committee met again. They saw what we were doing, and they met and looked at their budget, and yes, today they did lower the assessment for the town. So with that, we do have a balanced budget tonight. It doesn't bring back everything that we cut in expenses, but it does allow us to reinstate the 3% for all employees, union, non-union, and stipended. It does allow us to keep all the streetlights that are currently on, and we had also transferred some public safety salaries, in particular non-hired positions, currently non-hired positions, to fund those from ARPA. We were able to take less from ARPA to fund those positions. So it helped us tremendously. So we appreciate it.
Well,
Comments
I got
come
one
on the
more
motion.
question for you.
Sir, hold on.
Yep.
You got a question again? I just want to make sure you get recognized. If you got another question, let other people. Yeah. All right, ma'am, miss.
Ma'am. Yeah, right here.
Han LaQueer, 171 Fitchburg Road. I'm just wondering where the COVID-19 funds have gone. Where have they been used?
Yep, question comes on the motion as far as...
Pardon me?
If there is an answer.
COVID-19 funds are not at all within this budget.
Are they being used, or are they sitting in a bank account? Are they used to pay salaries?
No. Are you talking about CARES Act, or are you talking about ARPA funds? Can you be more specific than COVID-19 money?
The funding that was issued by the state.
All right, so the CARES Act, CVRLF funds that expired at the end of October were all expended. There is a report on that you can get from the town administrator's office. The ARPA funds, if you want to see how those have been allocated by the town, if you go to the town website under where it says news, and next to that it says town projects, if you click on that and you read through, there's another click that you need to do, and you can see where all the funds have been allocated.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, comments come on the motion. Well, on the discussion of the general government section of the budget. Ms. Lizio.
Under General Government Board of Selectmen, could someone answer the question or explain what the new positions in there are, whether or not they're paid for from these funds or from ARPA funds?
Questions come on the motion relative to new positions?
I can answer.
Ms. Kell?
All right, so if you look at the Board of Selectmen budget, and you look at, Sue, can you be specific about what new positions you're talking about? Go ahead.
Ms. Lizio?
Community Outreach Coordinator, Human Resources Consultant, and Grant Administrator, and Webmaster.
All right,
those are all new to me.
I will say that line 9 is the grant administrator. We hired that position in January. That was funded in fiscal year '22 and was in last year's budget. We do have our new grant administrator is Vinny DeSalvo. He's part-time, and he has been on board since January. His job description was on the website when it was posted. Our webmaster is Harrison Mayotte. That was also funded in FY22. He has also come on board recently. And if you look on the website at the Historic District Commission page and the Community Services Coordinator page, you can see the work that he has done. He is going through page by page, committee by committee, for those committees that do not have designated administrative staff, to make sure that these, at least in the case of Historic District Commission, volunteer boards, that there is a way for people in the community to access those boards, to get in contact with them. And I will just introduce Harrison. He is the gentleman standing right over by the windows with the glasses. He is, to put a plug in for that, he is currently a student at Neshoba Valley Technical High School, and he is cross-registered to Middlesex Community College. So he has been wonderful to have him here with us. It has helped tremendously, and this was something that was budgeted last year and continues to be budgeted in FY23. The other two positions, Community Services Coordinator, can I introduce you? Emily Mccaffrey is our Community Services Coordinator. She is housed in the Senior Center, in the office in the corner, kind of catty corner from where you check in. She has been with us for 3 weeks. She is ARPA funded, and her job description as well was on the website when we were posting for the position. When we were soliciting projects for ARPA, and we started doing this in September of this year, we asked all department heads and boards to come back with the projects that they wanted. Thank you, Emily. With the projects that they wanted, and there was an overwhelming ask for community support, wellness support, mental health for children as well as adults, more funding for the Senior Center for programs there, for the new opioid crisis center that is opened in town, and it is Emily's challenge to support all those programs. She has done tremendous work in just the 3 weeks that she's been here, and if you go under departments, community services, you will see the webpage that she and Harrison have worked on so that you can see what it is that she is tasked with doing. So we did take a good amount of the ARPA funds that were given to the town, and again, look on the website under town projects, and you can see how much that is. So it's all there and available to the public. You do have to look for it, but it is there. So does that answer your question? Community Services Coordinator is funded through ARPA. That's why it has a 0 here. 10,000 of her funding comes from the Council on Aging, because she is working with them closely. Her benefits are funded through the position that was not filled this past year in the Council on Aging, the one that Katie Petrossi left. And so that's where the benefits for that are coming from. I should say that next year we will not be paying benefits for the previous town administrator, not the new one, the previous one, who is still on our rolls for benefits. And those benefits, should we hire an assistant director in the Council on Aging, those benefits can just roll to our services coordinator. On to the human resources consultant. That is a part-time position. It's posted right now as Human Resources Manager on the website under Jobs and Volunteers. You can see what the posting says, and the job description is there as well. I don't know what more I can say. That is an ARPA-funded position because it was previously in the budget in fiscal year 20 and fiscal year 21, and ARPA funds are specific in how they can be spent, and one of the ways to spend is for things that were lost during the pandemic, and one of the things that was lost was this human resources position.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair McKell. Ms. Lizio.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to belabor it. I just want to make sure that I understand and everyone else understands as well. ARPA funds run out at a certain time. I'm not sure when that is. My concern is we're hiring people, we're creating new positions. It looks like you moved a couple positions, really, because there's no number in there for last year, but apparently it's in another department from last year. So my point is we're spending ARPA money on employees, and what's going to happen to them when the money stops.
I will counter that we are spending ARPA money on services to the town of Townsend. And the money has to be designated as how it will be spent by December of 2024 and expended by December of 2026. I am really hopeful that the community sees the benefit of these services to the town, and that over time, we have several fiscal years that we slowly cover more and more of those salaries with funds available to the town. That is the hope, and we'll see how it works out.
Okay, comments come on the motion. Ms. Lizio.
I did look at the list of ARPA expenses, or the things that we're planning on spending with that money. My understanding, and I could be wrong, was that part of the reason they were giving municipalities that money was to help with infrastructure. I know that there were some water things on there, which is nice to know. I didn't see any expenses for repair of roads. I would have expected that to be part of it. Please explain why that's not.
Ms. Kell?
Repair of roads, unless they are for water projects, is not an allowable amount, is not an allowable use of ARPA funds. There is another, the bipartisan infrastructure bill, and yesterday was the webinar on how to apply for those funds. That's rolling out yesterday. The way to apply will be mid-May. We'll be able to see that and the amount that needs to be put in for that. The grant application is due in the August timeframe.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. LeBlanc. Okay. I guess we can do that we're going to cut off debate on general government. Unless people are happy, and we can just move on to the next section. Is there any reason to do a motion, or can we go on to the next segment? Move on. Hey, Mr. Snee. Well, what our practice has been, if there are no more questions, we would move on to the next segment. And basically, the practice has been, now we're done with general government. We're not going to later on move to make motions to change it or do something in it. All the questions have been asked. I appreciate Lisa's motion to move the question. I'm just thinking maybe we can avoid that time and just move to the next segment. So
are we voting on general government? Line 241? Is that what we're doing?
I guess we do have to vote on the segment. Right. Sorry. So we would need to vote on the segment for general government now if we're done talking. All right. Any other questions on general government? Mr. Jackson. Ray, we'll get the mic there.
Yeah, it's on. Are we voting on item 241, general government, fiscal year 23? Is that what we're going to do?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. The number is $1,681,288.
Don't we have to vote to move the question?
Okay. Right, Ross? That's the number we're voting on.
Yes.
In the fiscal 23 BOS budget. According to the handout. All right, are we ready to vote? The total for this general government category is $1,681,288. Okay. So, you wait for a microphone, be recognized if you...
I mean, this is really strange because I picked this up out front. General government, FY23 says 1743671.
You're reading. That is the original warrant article. There's a separate handout that has the budget in detail. Looks like this. Okay. All right, so I'm going to try one more time, and then I'm going to entertain Lisa's motion to move the question. Are we ready to vote on general government? Okay, all those in favor of the number $1,681,288 for general government, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Next section, I believe, is public safety. And the total is on page, we don't have numbered pages, but
It's also on
line, what's the number, line number? Thank you, 483. And the total there is $3,536,077. Anything to be said on public safety? Okay, doesn't appear to be any. I think we're ready to vote. Up in the balcony? No? All right. I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the public safety total, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Next section is education. And this reflects the recent revision of the school department's budget?
Yes, it does.
Okay. All right. Is there anything to be said on public safety? I'm sorry, public education. Education. Mr. Sexton-Duranian.
I just want to make a comment on this. I do want to thank very much the school committee, superintendent, and I know that we've all been very busy in regards to sharpening our pencils, but the most important thing is, for me anyway, that we are, and we have been working to make sure that we have the most services for the town, both on the school side and on the town side. I want to thank personally the work for the school committee to come down on their ask, and I appreciate the fact that going forward, the collaboration between the two organizations should be moving forward without a problem.
Comments come on the motion, and I guess I would like to ask the members from the superintendents and folks from the school if you could stand up and identify yourselves. The school committee, just we appreciate you folks coming out. We know this cannot be a pleasant evening sometimes, but we get a microphone down here so we can just know who these folks are.
Hello, my name is Randy Rush, and I'm a Townsend resident, and I am an at-large member for all 3 towns within the school committee.
Hi, Jess Fanioli, Townsend resident, and I'm a member of the school committee.
Nancy Haynes, I'm with North Middlesex, and I'm the business manager.
Brad Morgan, district superintendent. My name is Brad Brooks. I'm the student services director for the district.
Lisa Martin. I'm a school committee member with Pepperell and the at-large member for your town.
Okay, thank you. And that's all North Middlesex, right? Okay, thank you, folks. And I think we do have folks here from Neshoba Valley. If you folks wouldn't mind standing and just let us know your names and microphone.
Sheldon Chapman, 302 Main Street. I am the Townsend representative on the Neshoba Valley District.
Karen Chapman, school committee member.
Michelle Shepard, the business manager.
Denise Pigeon, superintendent. Michelle Cody, assistant business manager.
All right, thank you very much, folks. All right, I think, any questions on education? The figure we have is $14,550,389. We're ready to vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. No. The ayes have it. Next section is highways and streets. And the total is on line 548. Thank you. And the total is $742,714. Anything to be said? Okay, looks like there are no questions. All those in favor of the appropriation for the highway and streets in the amount of $342,714, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Okay. Solid waste. I think we got that category here. The total is $748,052. Anything to be said? Okay. Seems like we're content. We're ready to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. I think it was unanimous. Next is culture and recreation. The total is on six. I missed something?
Yep, human services.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, human services. The human services total is on line 656, sorry. 656, and the number is $518,574. Anything to be said on human services? Because we're ready to vote. All those in favor, human services total, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. And the ayes have it. Unanimous. And now, culture and recreation. And the totals for culture and recreation are on line 704. The amount is $488,490. Anything to be said? Okay, looks like we're okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, unanimous. Okay, next we've got debt service. The total there is on line 724. And yep, it's $369,674. Anything to be said? Looks like we're chipping away at it. Ready to vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Okay. Ayes have it, unanimous. Insurances, including retirement, I think, right? No. No, we got a separate category here for
If it's under, it's part of it.
insurances. Is insurance under retirement? Because
They're all part of that same.
the general
720.
Insurance is total. So retirement, unemployment insurance, health insurance, life insurance, Medicare, general insurance are all in the same category, right?
Correct.
Okay, that's correct. So the total for this line item in the budget is found at line 760? No, sorry, 762. And that is $2,233,403. Anything to be said? No, I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. And unanimous. And that brings us to the final. I don't think we made any adjustments. So I think we can vote on the final budget proposed, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it appears to be $24,868,661. It's on line 764. Okay. All right, so it looks like we're ready to vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, unanimous. Okay. Thank you. Next article, getting back to the warrant, is where are we? Article 10, no. 10, no.
6.
Article 6, yes, thank you. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate funds outside of Proposition 2.5 to balance the budget or taking any action in relation thereto. Is there a motion? Ms. Kell.
Mr. Moderator, I move to pass over Article 6 for an override.
And to take no action?
Take no action.
Okay. All right, motion's made.
Second.
Okay. And seconded to take no action on Article 6. Anything to be said? Miss? Yeah.
Did you second it?
Valerie Goodrich, 128 Haynes Road. This is just a point of note on the Proposition 2.5 that was on the ballot on Monday. I might be alone, but I don't think a lot of the townspeople weren't aware that was going to be on the ballot. And in previous elections, the signs in town had said, Prop 2.5 override, vote. Just something maybe in the future, like just the signs around town had been a little bit clearer. I might have been alone, but I know a lot of people I talked to weren't aware that was going to be on the ballot, so just something maybe for future consideration. I might have missed something, but a lot of people in like the school demographic and stuff weren't aware either, so just point.
All right, comment comes on the motion and the article. Ms. Kell?
Just to respond, we really hadn't really thought we were going to need an override until closer to the end of the budget process. I think that everybody should be aware that we will probably be asking for an override beginning July 1st going forward, so that you're prepared for that next year if need be. In order to get additional revenue for the town, we are going to be working with the school committee more closely this year. The other place where we can get funds is solid waste. So looking at the trash contract, not so much for the contract itself, but at different ways that the town itself can deal with trash. Because that's a large part of our budget. If you look at this, what we just voted, it's $748,000. And we were asking for a mere $350,000 in an override. So maybe there's a different way to do things, and we can explore that. So, and in the future, I think we've learned that we will start early talking about override, even before we don't know if we necessarily need one. But thank you for the question.
Thank you. Comments come on the article. I think we're ready to vote. Question?
Judy Mader, 87 Turner Road. I just wanted to say that I think with the trash, I think townspeople need to be aware of how much more their trash pickup would be if they don't do the override. My understanding is private pickup is much more expensive than having the whole town picked up. So just a point of information.
Okay, comment comes on the motion. I think we're ready to vote on the motion to take no action. All issues, I'm sure we're going to have much more to talk about later. And all those in favor of the motion to take no action on Article 6, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Okay. Article 7, the article we take no action on Article 6. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the funds needed to balance the budget or take any other action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that we take no action.
Okay, motion's made to take no action on Article 7 and seconded. Anything to be said? If we're ready to vote, all those in favor of taking no action on Article 7, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Okay, it's unanimous, taking no action. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from stabilization account the funds needed to balance the budget, take any other action in relation thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town take no action on Article 8.
Okay. I think the reasons, thank you. Motion made and seconded. Reasons apparent. Any questions? All right. All those in favor taking no action on Article 8, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. And the ayes have it. Take no action on Article 8. Article 9. To see if the town will vote to fix the salaries and compensation of all elected officers of the town as provided by Mass General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 108, as amended and appropriated, and as appropriated in this warrant, or taking any other action in relation thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to fix the salaries and compensation of all elected officials of the town as provided by Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 108, as amended and as appropriated in this warrant.
Second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. This is a stock article, basically. Any questions? You couldn't hear the motion? Okay.
I'll try it again.
Teresa,
Mr. Moderator,
repeat?
do you want me to do it? That better? Can you hear me now? I move that the town vote to fix the salaries and compensations of all elected officials of the town as provided by Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 41, Section 108, as amended and as appropriated in this warrant.
And what was the second? Yeah, motion made and seconded. Any questions? All right, I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Okay, the ayes have it. Now we're moving along to Article 10. To see if the town will vote to appropriate the sum of $1,516,376 or any other sum from the Water Enterprise Fund revenues to operate the Water Department for fiscal year 2023, and in order to fund the cost of the intermunicipal expenses, that $273,000 or any other sum of this sum be appropriated in the general fund or take any other action in relation thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $1,516,376 from Water Enterprise Fund revenues to operate the Water Department for fiscal year 2023 and to transfer the cost of intermunicipal expenses of $271,000 of this sum to be appropriated from the general fund.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions, comments? Appears we are ready to vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 10, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, unanimous. Article 11. I'm going to summarize this as to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, borrow, transfer from available funds a sum of money not to exceed $14,900,000 to pay the cost of various water system improvements. And is there a motion? Mr. Vigant? Or
Dave?
Yeah, I need that, yep.
Dave, do you have this warrant? Dave, do you have the motion? This motion?
What's
this motion?
No.
Then you.
I move the town to borrow not to exceed $14,900,000 to pay for the cost of various water improvements as printed in the warrant article.
Okay, does everyone have a copy of the warrant? Typically, we'd read either one or the other, but if people are satisfied, Mr. Dave, could you explain what this is about?
Right, for the majority of it, as you know, from all the people, for the majority of this is for a water treatment plant, because PFAS levels have gone through the roof, and the state has mandated that we build a treatment plant. The source of the contamination is from people's septic systems. And so your septic system is poisoning well waters in the town. And it's not just the people on public water, it's all wells. And I just want to make sure that's clear. And it's going to be putting a water line in from the two wells at Witches Brook to Harbor Trace. A treatment plant will be built at Harbor Trace, and it will clean all the contamination out of the water. And we will be able to have future growth, or if it need be, for the people who are on private wells who find out they have PFAS, we can expand the system to help those people out.
All right, comments come on the motion on Article 11. Any questions? Mr. Leclerc.
I'd like to make a comment that this has been directed to septic systems in Townsend. I don't feel that that's valid in any fashion. I've been involved with the Board of Health for 21 years. I was a septic inspector and an installer. The water does not carry that far from septic systems, and I'm not going to allow that to be happen without my opinion. Now, there are other issues too. It goes with what we use in the roads in the wintertime, calcium chloride, etc., that attributes to the pollution you might find in the water in the rivers. But the stuff from a septic system does not travel that far. Thank you.
I can answer that one.
Comments come on the motion, Mr. Vigant.
All right, so for that one, PFAS is a new contaminant. The particles are so small, septic systems do not test for it. It's in your clothes, it's in your carpets. If you have a frying pan with Teflon on it, you are putting PFAS down your drain. And that travels into the particles are so small, the sand does not catch it. So, yes, you know, septic systems will catch most, but will not catch PFAS. Right.
All right, comments come on the motion. You have to go through me. Mr. Cadigan.
I guess the question I have is, the single treatment plant covers only the Harbor Trace well, or would it be able to process other wells in town if they become effective?
You probably didn't catch it, but it's to cover all the wells in that area. So all three wells in that area. Main Street, which we're finishing up right now, does not have any PFAS whatsoever because we moved it way back into the woods. And all right now we have to finish up with the electrician.
Comments come on the question. I think the lady, no, sorry, Jock. Couldn't see where your arm was.
Jonathan Snaith, South Harbor Road. Are federal funds covering any of this?
As of right now, it looks like we're going to have a minimum of 32% forgiveness, and maybe even more or the whole thing could be forgiven. But at the very minimum, it's 32%, which is about $5 million. But the Infrastructure Act has $8 billion of PFAS money in it, and that has not been, we have not been told what that number is going to be yet. Well, we just won't have to take out that much of a loan.
Okay, Ms. Lewan?
Hi, I was just curious. You said that all the wells have PFAS, but the treatment plant is only going to do a certain area, or will it work in West Townsend? How is that going to work if somebody in West Townsend is contaminated?
Comments, question comes on the article?
The new Main Street well will not have any PFAS in it because we pushed it 800 feet back into the woods. So it's detected as 0. So the ones that I detected, which are Witches Brook 1 and 2, are nearing going over, but not over yet. Harbor Trace, which we had to turn off, is 6 times the level, and it's been off since August. And losing that, we lost half of our water capacity for the town. And if we lose Harbor Trace, Witches Brook, we will not be able to supply the town with water.
Okay, comments come, and ma'am, right there.
Joan Savoy, Adams Road. Dave, what's the status of our class action lawsuit, please, on the PFAS?
It looks like 2 years out. And we're part of a lawsuit that we can get additional funds from that, and besides the federal funding.
Okay, comments come on the motion, and I know we've got a couple up there, and we've got one down there. I'm not sure how long you folks have been up there, but I'll go upstairs because I haven't recognized anybody up there in a while. So, sir?
Hello? Yep, Bill Rideout, 88 South Harbor Road. So I'm confused as to where the money will be coming from. Are we saying we're going to pay the $14 million and we may or may not be getting some of it back? If you just break down, where is this money coming from, or where might it be come from, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Question comes on the motion.
Right now, the funding is coming from the state revolving fund. What is actually going to be involved right now, about $5 million is going to get forgiven, or more. And all the funding will come from the enterprise fund. It will not come from taxes. It will just come from water rates for paying it back. It's a 0% interest loan at 30 years. What is actually going to be paid back, we don't know yet. But it's not going to be the $14 million that's on this. It's going to be a lot smaller.
Okay, comments come on the motion. Mr. Shaka.
Joe Shaka, 59 Maplewood Drive. What's the time frame with this project? When is it going to start, and what's the estimated completion date?
Well, completion should be the spring of 2024. So all the funding is ready. All the planning is in progress. My engineers are here if you want details. But right now, the EPA is going to come out with a new limit, which is going to be half of what it is today. It's going to be going down to 10 instead of 20, and which will lose the Witches Brook wells probably the fall of 2024 if we don't do anything. So, but this meets the timeline of fixing the problem before it gets bad.
Okay, comments come on the motion. Ma'am, over here.
Judy Mader. I wanted to know, PFAs is plastic, is that correct?
They're polyfluorinated carbons.
Is that a plastic?
Right. They can be plastics. They can be Teflon. They can be waterproofing in your clothes.
Okay.
50% of all makeups that women wear have PFAS in them.
Okay. So what can we, as citizens of this town, do personally to reduce the amount? What can we do in our own homes besides not, you know?
You just look, there's a list of items that are PFAS free. So you have to really look for it. It's, if you look up PFAS, on our website, it brings you to sites that will tell you what's PFAS free.
So that's the water department to look at
Right.
that, your site. Okay, thank you.
Questions and comments come on the motion. Mr. Sexendranian.
I just want to say that this is a first step in a multitude of steps that we need to take. I know that we've been working very closely with the water department in regards to state and federal regulations. I know that our water and superintendent and the water commissioners have been working very hard to be able to put together a plan for the town that not only can we afford, but it also keeps our water safe. And again, this is a first step to many different steps. We have had a public hearing in regards to the situation here. We plan on having many other public hearings in regards to any questions. I would urge you to contact the water department if you have specific questions in regards to this. But this particular article merely is, again, a beginning step for us to start our funding process, because as you all know, it's not easy to raise this amount of money, you know, in a short period of time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yep, ma'am.
Valerie Goodrich, 128 Haynes Road. Is there any way to include information to private well owners in this process? And is there any, do you know if that's, or is it just the municipal water supply?
What's your address?
Haynes Road.
Haynes Road. If you want to get tested, there's free testing by the state. You have to call the health department.
Okay,
And
that's good.
they'll arrange
Because
it for you.
I think a lot of the houses are all private. So.
And if there's a neighborhood that's we find that have PFAS in it, we'll take steps to move the system into that area, because we can get funding for anything that related to PFAS.
Okay, question and comments come on the motion. Anything else? I think we're ready to vote. Up. Mrs. Chapman?
Karen Chapman, 302 Main Street. You said the problem is septic systems, so it seems like we should be looking at sewer infrastructure. It's just going to contaminate.
Well, I can answer that one. Sewer is going to cost you between about $250 million. The water treatment plant cost under 15. So what's more cost effective? It doesn't solve the problem until we educate ourselves and not putting it down the drain. But 15 million is a lot better than 250 or 300 million dollars. So does it right? But until we can educate ourselves and stop the products for putting it in the products, then that's the way we deal with it going down the drain.
Okay, comments. Obviously, seems like a big problem. Makes me wonder why the substances aren't banned, but that's not for us to decide here. Up in the balcony.
Kim Craven, 87 Lunenburg Road. For those of us that are not affected by the wells, we probably are a little bit more in the dark. So could you give a really good explanation for everyone in town that if this does not pass, you did not move towards the treatment, what is the future of that well? Will it get shut down? What will people do for drinking water? I appreciate that. Thank you.
Question comes on
right
the
now,
motion.
Harbor Trace is off, and it will not go back on until the treatment plant. That produces 1 million gallons of water a day, which is about 50% of the water that is produced now. Another 25% is Witches Brook 1 and 2, which if it goes over the limit, those 2 wells will go down. And we will be at 25% capacity, and we will not be able to supply water. So if there's a fire, there will not be water for fighting fires, and there'll be brownouts, literally, for the people who are up on top of hills. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do with that. If the state tells me I have to shut it down, I have to shut it down.
Thanks.
And it's not something I want to do. I've been working 50 hours a week to get the Main Street well on to help a little bit. We've got Cross Street running after almost 10 years of not being on. So we're doing everything we can. And if anyone knows that I haven't taken a day off in well over a year, and I work 50 hours a week because this problem.
Okay. Thank you.
Think, sir in the back, Mr.
Brian Sanford,
Brian
7
Sanford.
Ponderosa Drive. Dave, how safe is the water we're drinking right now? Is it that bad that we shouldn't consume?
Currently, it's safe. Witches Brook has been bouncing from 10 to 17 parts per trillion.
What is the unsafe level?
20. Harbor Trace is right now at a 120.
In Witches Brook is at 17?
It bounces from 10 to 17. So yes, it's borderline, and if it goes down to 10, you can see what the problem is.
Wow. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Leclerc.
I just want to reiterate one more time, the septic systems are not the cause of the problem.
Okay. Comment comes on the motion. Ms. Jackson.
Mr. Moderator, move the question.
Okay, I think, all right, let's do that. All right, motion's been made to move the question. This will cut off debate. All those in favor of moving the question, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. It's unanimous. All right, we're going to vote now on Article 11 to see if the town will vote to borrow. I understand the motion, right? Okay, or transfer. It's only borrow, isn't it? Okay, to borrow money. This requires a 2/3 vote in favor. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. The ayes have it by more than 2/3. All right, Article 12. To see if the town will vote to raise an appropriate borrow transfer from available funds in the Treasury the sum of $358,450 or any other sum for the purpose of funding the fiscal 23 capital plan as voted by the Capital Plan Committee as detailed below or taken any other action in relation thereto. And I will not read the items. They are in the warrant. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash or the water enterprise account, as printed in the warrant, the sum of $358,450 for the purpose of funding the fiscal year 23 capital plan as voted by the Capital Planning Committee as detailed below. For Fire EMS, replace the 2007 Car 2 at a cost of $55,000, funding sources free cash. Item 2 for highway, I should say item 2, 3, and 4 are for highway. Purchase an F-550 4x4 dump truck with plow for $80,000 from free cash. Purchase an asphalt hut box, cost of $43,000 from free cash. Replace the body on the 2012 F-450 for $14,400 from free cash. For facilities, exterior repair of a Memorial Hall, $20,000 from free cash. Also facilities, exterior repair of the Harbor Fire Station. This is the new fire station at the Harbor, $10,000 in free cash. For the police department, the second lease payment on 4 police cruisers, $70,000. This was in the operating budget from free cash. For conservation, a tablet, hand auger, and a Munsell soil book for $1,050 from free cash. From the water department, HDPE pipe fusing machine, $25,000 from the water enterprise retained earnings. A 36-inch plotter printer scanner for $10,000, also from the water enterprise retained earnings. And decommissioning and reforesting the Main Street well field for $30,000 from the water enterprise retained earnings, for a total of $358,450.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and second on Article 12. It can be said, Ms. Lizio.
I'm looking back at the budget, line 272, police new equipment, 70,000. Is that the one that is referred to in this capital? So we passed the budget and said free cash was going to be used for these items that you had listed. And was this not one of the items that you listed at the beginning of the budget?
This is where the free cash for that item gets moved.
Okay, so it wasn't in your original one. It's just shown.
It is in as part of the operating budget, but the movement of the free cash is in this article.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything to be said else? I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 12, the capital financial articles, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. It's unanimous. Ms. Lizio, you have a point of order?
Information on that, because in this warrant, when we voted on the functional segments...
What's your point of order?
My point is, I think that $70 is in there, that 70,000 is in there twice. Okay, because we just said we were taking 70,000 in this last motion, taking 70,000 for the cruisers.
Okay, can someone answer that? Are we doing this twice? Mr. Perry.
It's also in Article 5, listed as free cash second lease payment police cruisers, 70,000.
Okay, Mr. Perry, can you address that?
We're only transferring that sum one time. The feeling was strong that it should be in the operating budget because paying for police cruisers is as important as paying for police officers. So at the direction of the Finance Committee and the Police Department, we kept it in the operating budget. But it is sort of it is a capital item, so it's being listed here in the capital. But you're not, I can assure you, you're not paying for this twice. It's only coming out of free cash one time.
For 70,000 for that?
Yeah, I'm sorry, use the mic.
You're asking for it twice in two different articles. I'm not fighting about the 70,000. Maybe the accountant can straighten that out. Mr.
Question comes on
Moderator?
motion? Terry, yeah, can you?
That 70,000, when that is booked by the accountant, that 70,000 is removed from capital because it will be in the budget. And this is just to note it, that is part of the capital project. It's been through capital project.
Hold on. I think the answer is we're not spending the $70,000 twice. I don't know if you can accept that at this point in time, but It's almost 9 o'clock, and we still have a lot of articles to go through, so if you aren't satisfied, please make your question, but we've got a lot of meeting to go through. Hold on. You get the mic, please.
It's already been put on. I said I'm not satisfied, but I know that the accountant knows what she's doing.
Okay. Comments come on the motion, which we started to vote. I'm going to do it again. All those in favor of the motion on Article 12 to appropriate or transfer from free cash, rather, $358,450 for the items listed, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. All right, it's unanimous. 13, to see if the town will vote to raise appropriate borrow transfer from available funds in the Treasury the sum of $1,060 or any other sum for the purpose of funding the fiscal 23 capital plan is noted, or is voted by the Capital Planning Committee as detailed below. And you can see the items detailed in the warrant. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move the town vote to borrow the sum of $1,060,000 for the purpose of funding the fiscal year 23 capital plan as voted by the Capital Planning Committee as printed in the warrant. Fire EMS, replace the 1995 engine 2 for $745,000. Funding source is to borrow. Replace 1995 Forestry 2, which is $75,000, and the funding source for that is to borrow. Highway, the 6-wheel dump truck with plow and sander, $240,000. Funding source for that is to borrow, totaling $1,060,000.
Motion's made and seconded. Anything to be said? Okay, appears we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 13, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. By two-thirds, by unanimous, actually. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, borrow, transfer from available funds in the Treasury the sum or sums of $101,588 or other sum for the purpose of funding the fiscal 23 lease for the ambulance or take any other action in relation thereto. Article 14, motion?
Yes, Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from available funds in the ambulance receipt reserve account the amount of $101,588 for the purpose of funding the fiscal year 23 lease for the ambulance.
Motion made and seconded. Anything to be said? Mr. Shaka?
When Mrs. Morse read the motion, did she say it's coming from the ambulance reserve fund? Because that's not how it reads here.
Could you repeat that, Ms. Morse?
Yes, from the ambulance reserve receipts account.
The ambulance receipts reserved.
Okay. All right, question came on the motion. Any other questions? I think we're ready to vote. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. It's unanimous. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to close out old warrant articles and reallocate to the capital stabilization account the balances as indicated below for a total of $41,663.75 or any other sum or take any other action in relation thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move the town vote to close out old warrant articles and reallocate to the capital stabilization account the balances as printed in the warrant for a total of $41,663.75.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any questions? I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Unanimous. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to repurpose the balance of $10,000 from Article 7 of the annual town meeting on July 25th, 2020 450 Dodge dump truck to purchase a used pickup truck or take any other action in relation thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to repurpose the balance of $10,000 from Article 7 of the annual town meeting 7/25/20 450 Dodge dump truck towards the purchase of a used pickup truck.
Motion's made and seconded to basically repurpose the balance unexpended on the purchase of a Dodge dump truck to purchase a used pickup truck, and this is for the cemetery department. Any questions? All right, appears we're ready to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, it's unanimous. Article 17, see if the town will vote to appropriate from the PEG Access Receipts Reserve account funds equal to 5% of Comcast's gross annual revenues in Townsend. And I'll waive reading of the rest of the motion, or article, if there is a motion. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move the town vote to appropriate from the PEG Access Receipts Reserved account funds of $131,211 equal to 5% of Comcast's gross annual revenues in Townsend, subject to receipt and availability, and authorize the Board of Selectmen and Town Administrator to expend and distribute said funds to Townsend Community Access Media Incorporated on a quarterly basis for the purpose of annual funding of the production and broadcast of public, educational, and government PEG access television on terms contained in a certain grant agreement between the Town of Townsend, Mass. And Townsend Community Access Media Incorporated, effective September 15th, 2020.
Motion has been made and seconded on Article 17. Any questions? Ms. Coit? Use the
repeat
microphone.
the amount?
Repeat the amount. It's, could you repeat the amount?
$131,211.
Okay. Anything to be said? Because we're ready to vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 17, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Unanimous. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, borrow, transfer from free cash or other available funds in the Treasury the sum of $5,000 or any other sum to defray charges and expenses of planning and execution of the town's 300th anniversary celebration to be held in the year 2032 or taking action in relation thereto. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $5,000 to defray the charges and expenses for the planning and execution of the town's 300th anniversary celebration to be held in the year 2032.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions? Because we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. It's unanimous. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, borrow, or transfer from available funds in the Treasury the sum of $8,000 or any other sum for the purpose of funding the assessor's fiscal year 23 periodic inspections and property data verification program as mandated by the Massachusetts Department of Revenue, Bureau of Local Assessments, or take any other action in relation thereto. Is there a motion?
I move the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $8,000 for the purpose of funding the assessor's fiscal year 23 periodic inspections and property data verification program as mandated by the Massachusetts Department of Revenue, Bureau of Local Assessments.
Motion's made and seconded on Article 19. Any questions? Comments? We're ready to vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. It's unanimous. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to amend Chapter 37 of the town's general bylaws entitled Fees, Article 2, entitled Town Clerk, Section 37-2, entitled Fee Schedule, items 13, 29, 34, and 67 as follows, with deletions stricken through and additions in bold. I think it's in the warrant, so I won't go through that unless someone wants me to. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move the town vote to amend Chapter 37 of the town's general bylaws entitled Fees, Article 2 entitled Town Clerk, Section 37-2 entitled Fee Schedule, items 13, 29, 44, and 67 as follows, with deletions stricken through and additions in bold. For furnishing a certificate of birth, to $10. For furnishing a certificate of death, to $10. For furnishing a certificate of marriage, to $10. For copying any manuscript or record pertaining to a birth, marriage, or death, new fee would be $10.
Okay, motion's made and seconded on Article 20. Anything to be said? Any questions? Appears we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Ayes have it, it's unanimous. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Select Board to acquire by gift, purchase, eminent domain, or otherwise from the Townsend Conservation Land Trust for general municipal purposes 4 properties to be determined to be unique, identified as A, and there's 3 parcels located. I'll leave it to the motion to identify them. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move the town vote to authorize the Select Board to acquire by gift from the Townsend Conservation Land Trust for general municipal purposes 4 properties determined to be unique, identified as A, Route 13 North Land with the Welcome to Townsend sign on it, map block lot 21-7-2 of .15 acres. B, the Pheasant Ridge Road entrance to the development, map block lot 17-109-0, size .145 acres, and 17-24B-0, .557 acres. And C, Barker Hill Road, map block lot 19-49-0, .309 acres. And further, to authorize the Select Board to enter into all agreements and execute any and all instruments as may be necessary on behalf of the town to effect said acquisition.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded on Article 21. Any questions? Okay, I see a hand.
Karen Hill, 142 Pierce Road. So you say these, well, first of all, this is Townsend Conservation Land Trust, the land trust that Veronica is on? Okay. So these are unique. How are these parcels unique? What is the town, why are these important to the town, I guess is what I'm asking.
Question comes on the motion.
The first one has the Welcome to Townsend sign on it. It's completely surrounded by DCR property. It's a very small parcel, .15 acres. B, Pheasant Ridge Road, that's the entrance to the development. It's a piece on the right and a very small triangular piece on the left. All of these are very, very small parcels. And Barker Hill Road, that area is completely wet. Again, .309 acres.
You said that's completely wet? The Barker
Pretty
Hill?
close,
Okay.
yeah. It's a wet parcel.
So are these adjacent to the land trust, I mean, does the land trust own other properties adjacent to that, I guess?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, comments come on the motion. There's a person upstairs in the balcony, Ms. Craven.
Thank you. Kim Craven at 87 Lunenburg Road. I did have a question. I'm sure it's boilerplate language, but could there be an amendment to this so that it strikes the purchase, so that it's just gifted to the town from the land trust?
The motion was read gift.
Okay, but it's written.
Say again, was the motion?
By gift.
Oh, to acquire by gift, not by purchase.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. As long as that's specifically written in there, I think that's fine.
Do we have the motion? Do we have the motion? read the motion. The motion was to move the town to vote to authorize the select board to acquire by gift from the Townsend Conservation Land Trust for general municipal purposes 4 properties. That's the motion, right? The article did have other language in it, Kim, but the motion was just to acquire by gift. Okay, any other questions? I think we're ready to vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. It's unanimous. Article, racing along now. Article 22. Now he jinxed us, right? To see if the town will vote to transfer the care and custody and control of the following properties from the Board of Selectmen, presently possessed by it for general municipal or affordable housing purposes, as indicated to the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust, established under Declaration of Trust dated October 23rd, 2020, recorded in the Middlesex South District Registry Deeds, Book 76193, page 28, for the purpose of preserving and creating affordable housing. And you can see the properties identified in the article. Is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. Moderator. I move that the town vote to transfer the care, custody, and control of the properties as printed in the warrant from the Board of Selectmen presently possessed by it for general, municipal, or affordable housing purposes as indicated to the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust established under I don't know what the D stands for. Under Declaration of Trust dated October 23rd, 2020, and recorded with the Middlesex South District Registry of Deeds at Book 76193, page 28, for the purpose of preserving and creating affordable housing.
Motion has been made and seconded. I take it that the properties are as printed in the warrant? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, questions come on the motion upstairs?
Hi, Leslie Gabrilska, 5 Warner Road. I'm just inquiring whether it would be possible to pull, I'm not familiar with the other ones, but to pull the first one out. That one is under the state's biomap 2. Critical natural landscape has 2 streams on it. It has an Eagle project trail through it. And the Biomap 2 project was supported by Fish and Wildlife and the Nature Conservancy and the Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program. So I'm just curious whether it could maybe be put on hold for a year to see if there's some way that could be protected. Just the first parcel.
That's the 31-acre lot?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. You would need to make a motion to amend the article if you wanted to change that.
So, do I do that?
Do you want to wait till I go?
Sure.
May I have the floor, John?
Yeah, sorry,
Thanks.
Ms. Craven. Yeah.
Kim Craven, 87 Lunenburg Road. I guess I'll follow Leslie with asking you to strike all of them except for the known property at Dudley Road. So some of these properties, I think we need to look at endangered species, threatened habitat. The 2 that I'm most familiar with are 1052 and 1070. For those of you that don't know where those are, it's Blood Road. The first one is Elm Street West, and the second one is Blood Road. So have you done any engineering on this? Have you looked at the topography? Have you looked at the wetlands that are on the lots? Have you looked at all the wildlife and habitats? So there's all those questions. And then there's what happens now? So we've got some bylaws that do enhance affordable housing, but these 2 particular lots that I'm talking about, by the time the land slopes down and you get away from the wetlands, you don't have a lot of room to build on. So that's the first thing. And then secondly, how is the land trust going to manage this? What's the operational plan? If building never happens, does it go back to the town for recreation? I just think there hasn't been a lot of education around this, and like Leslie, I have questions about the habitat on the properties.
Okay, comments come on the motion. Ms. Kell?
Can I talk? These properties are town-owned properties. They are being transferred to the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust, not the Land Trust, just to clear that up. And the purpose for these are for the Housing Trust to look at them to see what the best uses are of the properties. It does not necessarily mean that affordable housing is going on any of these. We have obtained a District Local Technical Assistance Grant to work with MRPC to see what the best uses are of these properties. Right now, they are just on the rolls. So the idea is to transfer them to the trust. If it's possible to do other things with them, say to have Fish and Wildlife purchase one of the properties, that would provide the Affordable Housing Trust with startup funds so that they can pursue affordable housing on tracks, one of these tracks where it may be more appropriate. We just don't know. But we do know that the Town Properties Committee has voted to transfer them to the Affordable Housing Trust, and the Board of Selectmen has voted to transfer them to the Affordable Housing Trust.
Understood, but that's why we have town meeting, so that we can discuss these. So through the chair, through the moderator to the chair. The DLTA grant, was that to the town of Townsend or to the housing, Affordable Housing Trust?
The Affordable Housing Trust is under the town of Townsend.
So if it is under the town of Townsend, should we not first do our due diligence to find out through the DLTA the proper uses before we go through a transfer, so that we don't have to transfer back? Like I said, 2 town meetings ago at least, we gave the money to look at the practicality of building on Dudley Road. So the town gave that. What's happened with that, and why are we taking this step before we know the outcomes of any study? I think that you're rushing to do this without enough information for our townspeople. We shouldn't be moving it from one side to the other.
Okay, comments come on the motion. Mr. Arsenal?
Todd Arsenal, Clement Road. I think Kim said it, why are we transferring something if we don't know what we can do with it yet?
Okay. Comments come on the motion. And, sorry, right? Oh, I did recognize, yep, Miss. And then Jock.
Joan Savoy, Adams Road. I'm chair of the Affordable Housing Trust. Actually, we can't get money to study these properties until the Affordable Housing Trust owns them. And we are lucky to have the DLTA grant that we applied for through MRPC, and they are going to help us build a 5-year action plan so we can look at all the properties and we'll say, hypothetically speaking, but okay, this one we'll sell to Fish and Wildlife, this one we're not going to touch at all because it's just not buildable, this one's viable, and also once the Affordable Housing Trust has the properties, can the Massachusetts Housing Partnership help us too and look at these things. I would like to say this, we certainly would never develop anything that wasn't, that we didn't feel was appropriate. We do want workforce housing in the town, and we're also mandated to build workforce housing in the town, so it's a delicate line, but we are conscientious people, and everything we do will be advertised and broadcast and at all the meetings, but we haven't had any activity because we don't have access to these grant monies and help from state agencies until we do get these properties. There was one other point, and that is gone for the moment.
So, thank you. Just point of clarification.
Good attempt on the answer there.
So point of clarification. Selectman Kell said that we already have the DLTA grant, that the Affordable Housing Trust is under the town of Townsend. So it doesn't seem that we need to swap anything before we move this into a process that it goes to the Affordable Housing Trust. And I think to a person in this room, You all know that I'm pro-building, so this is not against building. It's about process in the town, that we should find out what the land can be used for first, through DLTA, through our own studying, before we transfer land. I think we've already gone through some discussions on transferring land earlier this year.
Okay, comments come on the motion.
Moderator.
Mr. Snaith, did you? Oh, okay. Mr. Sexton-Duranian?
Thank you. I first want to say that to your comment in regards to the feasibility study was voted in town meeting 2 years ago. Last year, we voted to take the money out of the, to reallocate it to a housing production plan that the Housing Authority did. In that housing plan is part of the feasibility study for Dudley Road and other parcels within the entire town. So that's where those funds went. And the Housing Authority has, this housing production plan has been approved. That would be number one. Number two is the proper process. It was voted by the Properties Committee that this particular land owned by the town should be looked at more closely. Part of the reason why the town agreed to establish the housing trust was to be able to look into properties such as this and find what is deemed necessary for them. In order for the Affordable Housing Trust to do anything with that land, it has to be in the trust to be able to do that, which is the reason why we established the trust.
Sure. So thank you for the clarification. And was it found through the feasibility that the Atwood Acres Dudley Road property can support additional housing?
Which property are you talking about?
The Atwood Acres property, Dudley Road, 2857.
On Dudley Road is the only place that we're talking about the...
Okay, I'm just going by what's listed here.
I didn't hear you.
I'm going by what's listed here. It said Atwood Acres property, Dudley Road.
Yes.
Map,
that's on Dudley Road, yes.
Great.
That's 11 acres of land back there.
So, and I would fully support this motion if you strike the first ones and only request right now the Atwood Acres property at Dudley Road. And I'm saying what's listed as the description. So for people in the audience, it's the last one on the table. Otherwise, I suggest that we vote it down in its entirety. But I think if we leave the final one, I would fully support that.
Okay, as a procedural matter, we either have to vote this up or down, or if there's somebody who wants to make some motion to amend it, you can do that. But right now, the motion is before you as it stands. It is a transfer of property, so it requires a 2/3 vote. Ms. Schifrin?
Laura Schifrin, 28 Barker Hill Road. I chair the Town Properties Committee, and just for your information, we've had public Zoom meetings, and it has been publicized, all of our actions, all the properties that we went to, all the properties that are here, and that we recommended to go to the Housing Authority.
Right.
We walked. Kevin Smith was one of the people that walked most of the properties for us. And no, we didn't do any surveys or testing or stuff like that because of the grant money that was going to be used. We don't have any funds. We only make recommendations. But they weren't made lightly, and they weren't made just to the Housing Authority. We also made recommendations to transfer to conservation. So we're hoping that you, as the town, will respect our opinion and our recommendations for this property to be used for housing if it's so deemed. Thank you.
Comments come on the motion, and appears we have, yeah, up on the balcony.
As when I was former conservation agent, the town administrator allowed an Eagle Scout to put a trail on that property on 34740, and I had walked it, and there are 2 streams on that property, but I didn't do any survey. All you do is look at Mass GIS, and you can see that it's in critical natural landscape, and it's important in our biomap, important for an endangered species, which are only a few hundred feet away. So I just don't know whether that into consideration when the Properties Committee considered moving it to a potential affordable housing site. I can't, it's not all regulatory, that's the issue, but it does have important value for ecological sustainability in Townsend. So.
Okay, comments come on the motion. Mr. Snaith?
Second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion's been made to move this question, which will cut off debate. All those in favor of moving the question, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Okay, move the question. So the question before you is, as it stands, the motion to transfer those 6 parcels to the Affordable Housing Trust, Townsend Affordable Housing Trust. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no.
No.
Okay, I think we're probably going to have the counters come up. All right, one more time. It does require a 2/3 vote. All those in favor of the motion on Article 22, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. I believe it is a 2/3 vote.
No, it's a majority.
I will declare it.
No, it's 2/3.
So, where's the point of order? I can't see. You got to stand up and get the mic. Sorry.
Ma'am. Oh. Can we do a count on that, please? Point of order. Karen Hill.
No, we moved the question, and then we voted. The chair was in doubt, so I asked for another vote, and it appeared that there was more than 2/3 that voted for it.
Can we just actually get a count so that we can be sure? It seemed close to me, but...
If 7 people will stand to question the vote, we can count. Is there 7 people that want to see it counted? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we got 7 at least. All right, I'm going to have to ask some folks to volunteer as counters and get sworn in. I think we can probably handle it with 4 counters. Call on, I guess, Mr. Snaith, Mr. Shaka, you've done it before. Let's see, who else is going to volunteer? Mr. Rideout, you're up in the balcony. And let's see, Ms. Funioli, can you do it? All right, so would you counters sort of, Bill, you don't have to come all the way down, just come up to the, all right. I did, Jock, could you? Sorry, I'd like to have 4. Almost avoided this. Oh, no, I just saw Jessica, so could have done Brian. Okay. What I ask then, if the counters actually, Bill and Jock, why don't you do the balcony, and Joe and Jessica, if you could do downstairs. I think we can do that. All right. So wait till they get in position. You guys, yeah, do one section at a time, maybe. Okay. All right, everyone in favor of the article, motion rather, on Article 22, please stand if you're in favor of it. Joe and Jessica, if you can count the podium too. Seven.
I used to count little kids still. So yeah, so never got. I don't think you count. Yeah.
25. 27 and 25. Okay, all those opposed to the motion on Article 22, please stand. Noes. Okay, that's 23. Okay. Get past 2 divided by. No, I did that wrong. Total is 205. Wow. Oh, all right. Who's good at math? I'm having a hard time figuring this out. Well, 75 would be 50, right. So it passes by 2 votes. By 3, yeah, 2 votes, right. Okay. Right, Article 23, everybody got that? It passed by 2 votes, 52 to 23. Article 23, citizens petition to see if the voters of the town will vote to accept as a townway Harbor Trace Road and Cooperate Way, as shown in subdivision plan 803 of 2003. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move to pass over the street acceptance article per a letter from the petitioner requesting said passover.
Okay. Second, passing over would take no action at the petitioner's request. Anything to be said? All those in favor of taking no action on Article 23, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. It's passed over. Article 24, see if the town will vote to adopt Mass General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 57, to the licensing authorities to deny any application for or revoke or suspend a building permit or any local license or permit, including renewals or transfers issued by any board, officer, department, or any person, corporation, or business who has neglected or refused to pay any local taxes, fees, or betterments or assessments. And I will not read the rest of the article. You get the idea. Is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I move to pass over this article related to denial of permits due to delinquent taxes.
Okay, motion is to take no action. Is there anything to be said? And that was a second, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah, okay. Anything to be said? Okay.
I can comment if you'd like.
All right, Ross? All right.
This was a good attempt to tie new permits and licenses to people's paying taxes, but it turns out, after more research, it already exists in the bylaws. So, thank you, but we don't need to do it tonight because it was done already in 2003.
That was prescient of us, wasn't it? All right, Article 25, to see if the town will vote to amend its general bylaws. Wait a minute, did we vote on that? We didn't, sorry, I thought we were done. All right, motion's been made to take no action on Article 24. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed to taking no action, say no. Don't say aye. Okay, we've taken no action on Article 24. It's not even that late, I'm getting goofy. Article 25, to see if the town will vote to amend its general bylaws, Chapter 138, entitled Wetlands, as follows. And you can see the modifications. I'm going to ask if there's a motion on this. Where was that? Okay. There's a motion to take no action on Article 25?
That wasn't the main motion.
We need to read the motion first.
Well, there is a motion to be heard, but I didn't hear it. So there is a motion to be made, so I'm going to defer and let the body decide on whether or not to vote the motion. There is a main motion here, so can we have the motion?
Do you want me to?
No, you read the motion.
I'll read the motion.
Yeah.
Article 25?
Article
I move
25.
that the town vote to amend its general bylaws, Chapter 138, entitled Wetlands, as printed in the warrant. Do you want me to read it from the warrant?
What's your pleasure? Do you guys want to hear the whole thing? It's not that long. Yeah, let's have it
Okay.
read. That's typically what we do. It's not that long.
By
Yeah, what's your point of order? It seems to me it was out of order where there was a main motion to be made. Okay, if there's no, I think it's, the thing is that you have a main motion that has to have see the light of day. It can't be short-circuited by a quick motion to take no action. If the petitioner wants to take no action, they can make a motion to take no action. A motion can't be made from the floor to take no action on an article. Okay? And there is a petitioner here, which I presume is the Board of Selectmen.
Yes.
So if, Veronica, if you could read the motion in full.
By adding to Section 138.1 entitled Application, a new subsection D stating, D, no activity is permitted within the no disturb zone adjacent to any resource area, including but not limited to clearing of vegetation, cutting, trimming, filling, excavating, grading, composting, planting, harvesting, mowing, landscaping, depositing of waste, debris, or other materials, fencing, installation of roads, driveways, or walkways, construction of any kind, and any other site clearing activities. The conducting of these activities in close proximity to resource areas, including wetlands, risks alteration of the resources themselves, and the Conservation Commission has so determined. Notwithstanding the foregoing, any area comprising a no disturb zone that is already developed as of the effective date hereof may be maintained in its then current state, provided, however, that any substantial alteration thereto shall require a permit issued by the Conservation Commission. Upon request, the Conservation Commission may permit certain regulated activities, otherwise prohibited, to occur within the no disturb zone, but only upon showing by the applicant and findings by the Commission that there exists no practicable alternative to the proposed activity, and that the activities proposed will have no adverse impact on the resource areas. The Conservation Commission's decision to grant or deny a waiver shall be entitled to deference except in such circumstance where its decision is arbitrary or capricious. And 2, by adding to Section 138.7, entitled Definitions, a new subsection A.8, defining no disturb zone by stating 8. No disturb zone shall be defined as the portion of a buffer zone extending 35 feet horizontally from the edges of the resource area, comprised of and functioning as a natural protective barrier of land within which disturbance is generally prohibited.
Okay. Motion's made.
And second.
And the second? And seconded. Motion's made and seconded. Comments on the motion? In the balcony? Oh, yeah, get the mic on, Kevin.
How's that, better?
Yep.
A couple of questions. I'm gonna put my farmer's hat on for a second. Veronica, are you telling us that we can't, that we've got to maintain a 35-foot distance between our drainage ditches and everything else? We can't maintain them. We can't get within that 35 feet if we're working on our fields? Am I hearing, or am I getting this wrong?
Working on fields is agricultural use, and that generally has different rules.
But you can still dictate to us whether we can or cannot work within that. Say we've got an area that's
I don't think
gone fallow for 5 years. I know this has come up over the years. Piece of property that's gone fallow, and all of a sudden we want to go in and clean out a ditch or do some work. Now are we back before the Conservation Commission, and is it their jurisdiction to say, well, we can clean the ditch or we can't, or we can work within 35 feet or not?
Question comes on the motion.
Just asking.
Appears to be Ms. Kell.
if something has been, I believe if you read this, it says that if something has been in place, it continues as such.
But how about the 5-year rule that has come up in town over the years with us? If a piece of farmland isn't actively worked after a 5-year period, they consider the land fallow. I believe that's the state term. And then we have to go in, file with the conservation before we can do any ditch work or any remediation work.
Well, that would probably be true if it's not in active use, yes. But if it's agricultural use, you would use what you have always used for for your pathway, as opposed to the Conservation Commission.
That doesn't get me very far. Now let me take my farmer's hat off and let me put my construction hat on. So now when we file, we've got a piece of land. We want to get to the other side. The brooks, it's a piece of seasonal wetlands. It's 4 feet wide, runs in the spring. We want to put we've got 10 acres of dry ground on the other side of this piece, and we want to put a driveway across it. In previous years and in previous applications, you were allowed to take up to the 4,000 square feet and be able to reclamate it to cross an area. Am I reading this right, that you actually have you can actually tell us that we can't get there?
I think that all this is doing is formalizing the 35-foot regulation, determining that it is a no disturb zone. It does not change anything that has already been in place. There are still waivers. Even now, you would have to, without these wording, You would still have to go to the Conservation Commission for that work. You would need an RDA. There's nothing different here. It formalizes the language that's in the
I always thought it was
wetland
pretty
bylaw.
formalized before for the last 25 years.
Pardon me?
I always thought it was fairly formalized before, but it just seems like as time goes by, you're tying our hands even more as to
No, there's no
working.
tying of hands. You can do whatever you could do now at the discretion of the Conservation Commission.
Really? Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Comments come on the motion downstairs here. The ladies before gentlemen, I guess.
Thank you, Jim. So who is the author of this article? Is it the Board of Selectmen?
Yes.
So you're presenting it. So where were the public hearings for this?
There are no public hearings.
It's a bylaw change. Why were there no public hearings?
This is a general bylaw. It's not a zoning bylaw.
It is not, it's not a zoning bylaw.
Well, in 2017, the Conservation Commission was against this, and in this year, the Conservation does not support this. This has not been before the Conservation Commission. They have not discussed it at a meeting. The public has not had a chance to weigh their opinions on this.
It was discussed in a Conservation Commission.
It was not.
Pardon me?
It was not. What meeting was it discussed at?
Mike, do you remember the date? Yeah, it was discussed at a conservation meeting.
It was on the agenda for April 13th, and you interjected and said that all the warrant articles would be discussed at the meeting here on April 20th.
It's a general bylaw. It does not require a hearing. Comments were received from the Conservation Commission. I'm sorry.
I watched the videos.
Karen.
It wasn't.
I have the emails from the Conservation Commissioners and the Conservation Agent.
Okay, I think we might have some further answers on that. I'm going to recognize Mr. Leclerc, though.
James Leclerc, once again. I've been on the Conservation Commission for 6 years. This has not been discussed by the Conservation Commission. It has not been voted on, it has not been signed, nothing has transpired. And if they go along with this, this is going to put the brakes on a lot of people that intend to build, put in driveways, etc. This is a bad effort, no good.
Comments come on the motion. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Moderator, it seems like there's an honest difference of opinion between the Board of Selectmen and the Conservation. If I could, I'd like to recommend no action at this time, if we could, on the motion.
Well,
is that appropriate?
You know, I don't think so. I don't know. Can you take a motion to take no action after a main motion? That's a new one on me.
Mr. Moderator, Adam Costa, Town Council, to you, I think you can. It's moderator's discretion as to whether you feel there's been enough of an opportunity for the body to debate the main motion, but certainly there can be a motion made at any time to pass over the article, which you could entertain if you so choose.
Okay. All right. I'm going to recognize one more speaker and then decide whether or not we can do that.
There are two people on the Conservation Commission in the room right now, Mr. Leclerc, and Ann Leclerc and Jim Leclerc and myself. This did go before the Conservation Commission, and we were invited to put our comments in writing and mail them, email them, and we did. I see this as a strengthening, and it does not say no waivers will ever be allowed. It does not say that. It strengthens our existing 35-foot, and I encourage it strongly because we live in a very fragile environment here. 70% of our town is in the ACEC, which stands for Area of Critical Environmental Concern, and we've got some serious water problems, and I do support this heartily. Thank you.
Okay, so we had a motion, I guess, to lay on the table. I mean, as I see it, and postpone indefinitely the article. I think that's essentially it. Yeah. It's a table and take action. Vote. But to lay on the table is 2/3 vote. Yeah, right. Yeah, okay, thank you, Adam. All right, so the procedure, this is kind of a different procedure, but it is possible to move to postpone indefinitely, which I take it that that's essentially what you're trying to say, Ray. This does, yeah, it does require a second. And was there a second to that? All right. It's debatable. It's not amendable. And it takes a majority vote. So to basically do this, if that's your motion. Okay. All right. Ray, did you want to make that motion or not?
I'll withdraw the, I don't understand. I just saw a sentence where we had no agreement between two forces and towns. And I just didn't feel, we had to do something, and I didn't know how the appropriate way to do that.
Yeah.
Some people say to table it. I don't know the right...
I think motion to postpone indefinitely would mean, okay, we're not going to do this now, okay? It can come back some other date, but it's not going to be, let's not do it now.
Okay, I'll take that one.
All right, that's that one. Okay. All right. It's debatable, and Ms. Chapman?
Can I just say one last comment on the motion?
Yeah, this is not a motion, move the question. This is a motion to postpone this motion.
I want to talk about the article, though.
Yep.
I just want to say my piece. I was on the Conservation Commission for 12 years, so I know the bylaw pretty well. And for years, the 35-foot no disturb, as most of the developers in here know, is on there in the bylaw. It's supposed to be on the plan. Put the 35-foot no disturb line on the plan. You know you can't go in there. So this is just saying the definition of that no disturb zone. The Massachusetts Land Court found in our favor that that 35-foot no disturb buffer stands. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Point of order? Well, the people at home can't hear you without it.
Laura Dole, Meadow Road. Are we sure that all of the visitors are sitting in their assigned seats? I know it's a requirement, but there's someone here who's voting and being vocal, and I don't believe she resides in Townsend. I'm not sure what we do about that.
I think all the people that identified as being visitors are sitting in the front. Is there any other visitors that are not, well, town police? I don't think that they've been participating. Is there anyone up in the balcony that is a visitor? Okay. Take them. I mean, I'm going to ask if there is someone who is a visitor and didn't identify themselves as such that they step forward and be seated up front. But other than that, unless, Laura, you've got some specific knowledge of someone who you know is not a voter in town. No? Okay. Mr. Lequire.
Very politely, Conservation has not voted on this. They have taken no action on this, and I'd like to move the question in favor of the other member because this is wrong.
I think, you know, it's not that late. We could stay and do this until, what, our hall rental ends at midnight? But I think it's time to vote on Mr. Jackson's motion, if there's something more to be said. The motion is to postpone indefinitely, which means we won't be taking it up again tonight. The motion on this Article 25. All right. Is there anything else to be said about that specific thing, to postpone indefinitely? All right. I think we're ready to vote on that. All those in favor?
Wait. So that motion's been made and seconded, and it's debatable, right? So my question is, how do we bring it back if it passes? If it's voted to be indefinite, how does it come back?
Well, it's only indefinite for this meeting. It can come back at another meeting.
What would the process be? To permission to go on the warrant again?
Someone files an article with the town, the selectmen, or a petition to do it.
All right, so it basically kills it and it starts all over again.
Say again?
So it basically kills the motion and it would have to come back all over again.
Right.
From the beginning.
Right. Okay. All right, so all those in favor of the motion to postpone indefinitely this article, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no.
No.
Okay, it's a majority vote, and I would say the ayes have it. To postpone indefinitely.
Can I ask for a count?
If 7 people stand, you want to count? You can. If we get 7 people standing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mr. Chapman? 7. Okay, counters, will you come forward, please?
I want to see who is opposed.
You know, Bill, you could stay up there. Let's see. Jock, you were upstairs, right? Yeah. Just tell Bill to go back up there. You've already been sworn in. This is just majority. Okay. We'll let those guys get up there.
This will help us avoid lawsuits.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion to postpone indefinitely, please stand.
But it's for a Passover, it's not for the article itself, so I don't know.
Get your workout today, Bill. Okay, all those who want to vote no on the motion to postpone indefinitely, please stand. Okay, vote is 57 in favor, 14 opposed, so the motion to postpone passes. Article 26, to see if the town will vote to amend Article 6 of the town zoning bylaw entitled Land Use Regulations, Section 145-26, entitled Residential Districts, subsection B, entitled Residential A and B Districts Special Use Permits, uses, Item 9, as follows, with additions to the existing text of the bylaw in bold. 9, commercial kennel, dog grooming establishment, dog training establishment, dog care establishment, animal or veterinary hospital, provided that such use is located on the same premises as a dwelling and is conducted by a resident thereof. Is there a motion? Mr. Cadigan. Oh, sorry, Bill, get a microphone, please.
Oh, sorry. You can't hear me, okay. I move that the town vote to amend Article 6 of the town's zoning bylaw entitled Land Use Regulations, Section 145-26, entitled Residential Districts, subsection B, entitled Residential A and B Districts Special Permit Uses, Item 9, as follows, with additions to the existing text of the bylaw in bold. Item 9, commercial kennel, dog grooming establishment, dog training establishment, dog daycare establishment, and then the remaining animal or veterinary hospital, provided that such use is located on the same premises as a dwelling and is conducted by a resident thereof.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded. This is a zoning bylaw, or is there a planning board report?
I don't know if there's a planning board report on this, but there was a hearing. I
think there is.
We got a report. In accordance with MGL Section, Chapter 40A, Section 5, the Planning Board held a public hearing on Monday, April 11th, 2022, to review a zoning bylaw amended proposed by the Planning Board to see if the town will vote to amend Section 145-26B9 of the zoning bylaws of the town of Townsend by adding the words dog grooming establishment, dog training establishment, dog daycare establishment to the existing text of the bylaw of uses allowed by special permit in residential district. The Planning Board unanimously recommends amending the bylaw for the following reasons. 1, the uses listed in the current bylaw are the only uses allowed. Other uses, if not explicitly listed, are prohibited. That's true with our bylaw. Updating the uses with more modern service-based establishments with similar or less impact to the neighborhood is recommended. This amendment would allow additional types of business activities in residential areas. The special permit granting authority, SPGA, should exercise a high level of scrutiny when considering a permit under said bylaw. So that's the Planning Board. The basic problem we had was our bylaw says if it's not specifically permitted, it's prohibited. Okay, so we had a lady move to town who wanted to do a dog grooming establishment, and we are basically trying to, when we wrote this bylaw in the 80s, dog grooming was not a thing. So we're just trying to get up with the current state of the animal husbandry occupations. So that's what this is about. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cadigan. All right, it is before you. Any questions? Mr. Shaka?
A question for Mr. Cadigan. In the recommendation, in the hearing that you had, recommended that a dog grooming establishment, dog training establishment, dog daycare establishment was recommended, but in the motion it says an animal veterinary hospital also. Can you explain which it is, please?
Well, all of those uses, we're adding 3 uses to the existing uses. Do you follow? So if you look at the motion in the warrant, where the bold print starts there. So we already permit a commercial kennel. So we're going to add a dog grooming establishment, or a dog training establishment, or a dog daycare establishment. And then we already permit animal or veterinary hospital, provided that such use is located on the same premises as a dwelling and conducted by a resident thereof. Now, I should also point out, this is a special permitted use, okay? This is not as of right. So if somebody has a good idea, they still have to come to the zoning board and get a permit, which is a special permit. So that gives us a little bit of control in terms of the activities, the volume of business, the impact on the neighbors, and all that sort of thing. Thank you.
Comments come on the motion. Mrs. Barrett, I better recognize her.
Mary Barrett, 38 Highland Street. I just want to know what kind of regulations are actually there. If you go before the zoning board, if you have a half-acre lot, I mean, something like dog grooming I don't have a problem with, but if you have a doggy daycare and someone has 8 dogs that are barking in the backyard and they have a half-acre lot, as a neighbor, what kind of recourse would I have in that situation?
I don't know.
Comments come on the motion?
The special permit process requires us to get comments from all the other boards involved in an activity. And the abutters. Okay, so there's a hearing, and one of the things we look at is what's the impact on the neighbors, basically. So. Yeah.
Mrs. Barrett, would you use the microphone?
With a kennel, isn't it four dogs becomes a kennel? If you have more than 4 dogs, I'm just off the.
I don't know what the kennel regulations are.
It's more than 4 dogs, so yeah. So okay, so that's a kennel. But now somebody can come in and they can have 8 dogs, maybe as a daycare, doggy daycare. I don't know how many you have. That just seems like it could be really overburdensome on a small lot if it's allowed for any area, if there's no area, requirement.
Yeah.
You don't have to have 3 acres or 4 acres. You could have a half acre as long as you live there.
No, I hear what you're saying, but we don't have that.
Particularly like that.
We don't have that feature in our bylaw.
All right, comments come on the motion. Anything else to be said? I think we're ready to vote. This is, correct me if I'm wrong, but the last article? Okay, all right, so all those in favor of the motion on Article 26 to amend the zoning bylaw for dog grooming, training, and daycare establishments, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Well, I've got a rule that, I'm going to pay for this, but I'm going to rule that the 2/3 applies. The motion passes by 2/3. Is there a motion to dissolve? Where is it? Mr. Snaith, second. Motion to dissolve. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Meeting is dissolved. Thank you, everyone. And please give a hand to the scouts who stayed almost the whole night. Thank you, Troop 10. Actually, they did stay the whole night. Some of them stayed.